and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Sturbridge Board of Selectmen will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The specific instructions and the general guidelines for remote participation can be found on the town's website at www.sturbridge.gov/town-access-virtual-meeting. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and/or watch the meeting, either online via the town's on-demand video broadcast on cable television on channel 191, or dialed into the meeting at 774-304-1455, enter 1428# for the meeting number and 12345 for the access code. This phone number is only active to the public during public meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or visual recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, on the agenda this evening we have public service announcements. We'll have a moment of silence, department reports from the Water and Sewer, Fire Department, Town Administrator. We have few action items, resignations, and appointments. We also have consideration and possible action on the request for sewer service to 90 Charlton Road to serve RLS Logistics. Discussion items to follow: the right of first refusal letter for 44 Allen Road, a discussion on Route 20 corridor project, notice of eligibility for funding, old business COVID-19 update, B, codification items for review, new business, correspondence, approval of minutes, citizens forum, and we do have a request for executive session, and then we will adjourn. Okay, could we please have a moment of silence for those affected by COVID virus? Okay, thank you. Okay, public service announcements. Chase, do you have any?
Just to get out and vote tomorrow and support your constitutional right.
Hey, Mike?
I just want to reiterate what Chase just said, is that it's a right and a privilege to vote, and I would encourage those that haven't voted yet to get out and vote tomorrow.
Hey, Mary?
Mary, you're muted.
I guess my public announcement is I agree with Chase and Mike, and I hope that there's a peaceful transition and we honor the electoral process. On a lighter note, I also want to say there's still time to sign up for a 5K virtual road race It's in honor of our veterans. It's called Home of the Brave Road Race. It's our second annual, and you can see the link on the town's website. It's going to be held the weekend of November 14th, which is after Veterans Day, so it's not this weekend, but the following weekend. And you can run, you can jog, you can walk, or you can just go online and make a donation if you would like to do that. So.
Okay. Ian, do you have any public service announcements?
Just reiterate what everybody else said and get out and vote, and just also thanking all the volunteers who helped with the early voting at the town hall. I know they took some scrutiny and some people didn't like it, but they did a good job and they should be proud.
Okay. Hey, I also reiterate that, and for those of you who probably aren't too sure where voting is, it's at the Oliver White Tavern at Old Sturbridge Village tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. until 8 p.m. Okay, another announcement is our winter parking ban goes into effect November 15th through April 1st. As we know, we've already had a little taste of winter. Okay. Next we have department reports, water and sewer. Shane.
Good evening. I submitted the August and September operation reports. With the August reports, I submitted all the lead and copper testing results that was done on the schools. Mary Dowling had asked me to provide that. I'll start with any questions you might have on those.
Okay, any questions from the board? No, go ahead, Shane.
Okay, today we started winterizing fire hydrants. We'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks. We have one fire hydrant right now that's not in service. We're going to replace that one in a week or two. Production continues up at Fisk-Hill. We've done the tie-ins for the new pipes. They're putting in the wall this week. They'll be doing the foundation and then closing the site down until the pump station is built and ready to be delivered. He's also finished up the well 4 steam study on Hampton Brook to determine whether the well is affecting the stream, and I haven't seen the official report, but I did speak to the engineer, and it does look like there is no impact on that stream. So hopefully we'll be able to get that stream limit removed and be able to have that source available to us in the summer months when we need the water the most. We did the seasonal shutdowns of the E1s today, so those are all taken care of. And we finished the hydrant flushing last week. So basically that's all I have for you this evening. I'll take any questions if there's any questions.
Hey, Shane, which hydrant is out of service?
There's one on Fairview Park Road. Not going to be that easy to change out because it's right in the middle of a drainage ditch. But we're going to probably get to that early next week.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments from the rest of the board? Mike? I can't hear you.
The reason you couldn't hear me is because I had it muted. I'm sorry. 2 questions. First one, quickly, is the brook. Is that influencing the well under the influence of the brook? Is that why there's an issue there, or it's just a capacity, or what's the issue with the well and the brook?
When we first were able to put the well in service, Fish and Wildlife had concerns that in the summer months when we were drawing water from the well, it would impact the stream and hurt the wildlife in there. So there's been a stream gauge limit since we've started operating it. We're trying to get that stream gauge limit removed, and it looks like that's going to happen.
Okay, so that one well is limited by that stream.
Right, it has a stream limit, which we're trying to get removed.
Yeah. The other question is about the septage. I noticed in August that, 99% of the septage came from out of town, and in September I think it was 94% came from here. It's good that we're doing that, but I think our rate is probably the lowest around, and we've been taking a lot of septage, so I think
on that note, after the last meeting when this was discussed, I called around and checked other towns, except for one other town which charges 10 cents a gallon per out of town. Everybody else is charging the same thing that we are at 6 cents.
Really?
Yeah, I checked with Southbridge, I checked with Spencer, I checked with the Brookfields, and Webster was the one that gets it at 10 cents a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand what you're saying. We're just charging what everybody else is. If you want to raise that up, that's up to you guys. You just got to let me know.
All set, Mike?
I don't see how we can even, process it for 6 cents a gallon. So I don't. It just, I don't know how that's, helping us out economically. By the time we take it in, process, and then pay for disposal of the sludge, doesn't seem like it's anything to the town's benefit.
Mary?
I agree with Mike. I mean, has this charge ever increased? I know a number of years ago I started this. I wasn't actually in favor of it at the time. It didn't really go through the board before it happened. Shane, have we ever increased our rate, or did we start at 6% years ago and just leave it at that?
At one time, we were charging the same rate for in-town and out-of-town, which was 5 cents. You raised the out-of-town up to 6 cents. I don't know exactly when.
Right.
Maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. I'm not exactly sure. So, yeah, you did raise it one time.
Didn't we raise it when it all came to light? We were taking septic from other towns. I think we raised it.
We gave you analysis of how many other towns were coming here.
I think that was at least 2 years ago. I know, not a year ago.
Yeah,
I would entertain us going up to maybe 8 cents. We're getting 99% right now. I don't foresee those haulers going elsewhere, but I kind of defer to Mike's expertise on this too. I mean, are we making any money at all on this when we're taking 99% from out of town? We have to test it. We have to screen it. We have to make sure there's no violations of the policy by the haulers. So maybe it would. Shane, do you know how much Webster takes at 10 cents?
Look, I talked to people in the business, and I think Webster's at 10 cents because they don't want outside septage, and that's what they use as a deterrent. And I've talked to managers about the Veolia plants, and some towns just don't take out-of-town septage. That's strictly a decision that needs to be made by the board. I explained it to you before. It's more work for us.
Actually, it wasn't a board decision. It just started happening, and then the board gave its okay. So it really was a policy decision we should have made. I don't know. I'm interested in knowing if Webster gets anything at 10 cents, because I'm inclined to increase our rate as well.
Again, I'll do whatever you guys want me to do, I'll do. Again, taking septage is more work for us. So it's really your decision. I'll charge whatever you tell me to charge, and I'll take whatever you tell me to take.
Okay. Plus, we make money. So, Shane, would it be possible for you to get a report together on the money that we do take in from the out-of-town septage?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay.
I'll send the report to Jeff, and he can disperse it to you people.
Right. Then when we look at that, we can, maybe go a step further if the board so desires.
Could Mary?
Mary?
Could that report also include the expense for testing and screening, even in terms of the time required? What is it? Because it's not all profit. Obviously, Shane said it's more work for them to do it. So I'd like it if the report also took into account the man hours and the effort that is expended as part of the analysis.
Sure, I can include that. That's not a problem.
Okay. Anything else, Shane?
No, that's all I have for you.
Okay, that's all we have too. So have a good night.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks.
Shane.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Fire Department, Chief Grosso. Good evening.
Good evening. I submitted the reports for August, September, and October. Obviously, October is a little bit light because it was submitted last week. There were no significant activities that happened between the time that I submitted the report and the end of the month. We did have one structure fire on Shepherd Road in the middle of September. That fire is still under investigation by the state fire marshal. We also had last week a vehicle fire in the yard of a residence off of on Glen Ridge Road, which turned into quite the incident. The state fire marshal is investigating that. The individual who lives in the house was arrested by the Ludlow Police Department that afternoon for setting 2 vehicles on fire, multiple home invasions, and assault on a police officer. So I'm waiting for the report on that from the state police, but that's more than likely going to be labeled as an incendiary fire as well. Other than that, I don't have anything significant to report on the monthly reports. I'll take some questions if you have them.
Okay, anyone have questions on the report? Mary? You muted again, Mary.
I can't remember to unmute it. I'm sorry. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to commend you and the fire department. I know you got a letter from a resident when you helped her mom, and she was very grateful for the professionalism and compassion. So I wanted to say thank you publicly. I think she said it restores her hope in the world, or it was very impactful. And also from the Southbridge Fire Department, I know you got a thank you letter from them as well for assisting them. So I just wanted to say thank you. Your department always does such a great job.
Well, it's our pleasure, in addition to being our jobs. But that brings me to another point. I wanted to make you all aware that we are increasing the amount of training we're doing with our mutual aid communities, Southbridge, Charlton, Brimfield. I think that over the years, that important part of our job has been let go to the wayside. And we do a lot of work with those communities, and having the time to train together prior to having to work together makes a huge difference in our ability to provide the service that we do. So that was one of the things that I did want to bring up, but I don't want to get away from the reports if we're not ready to do that yet.
Anyone else have a question on the report? Okay, you can continue, Chief.
So you have in your packet, we have received a $15,000 grant from the Last Call Foundation, and our goal with that monies is to purchase. I shudder to even say this, but to purchase ballistic vests and helmets for our personnel should they need to respond to any type of active shooter incident or any type of incident where the police may be making a tactical entry and need our support from the medical side. So I did want to thank the Last Call Foundation for that award, and hopefully we'll have those items purchased in the next few weeks and get them distributed to our personnel. We had our virtual Halloween contest over the weekend. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we weren't able to do the Horribles Parade this year, but we still wanted to do something. And we got a lot of submissions through our Facebook page. I would refer you to that page to see the pictures because my printouts are not going to do the winners justice. We had a young lady named Addison dress up as Arthur. I don't even know what kind of an animal Arthur is, but Arthur. And two young men dressed up as a roll of toilet paper and a bottle of hand sanitizer. And those were the winners. But you really need to see them on the Facebook page. So I encourage you to do that. Final thing I have is that the 2020 Santa Run, the schedule has been published for that. I think you also received a copy of that in your packet. We're looking forward to this year's run. We're going to do things a little bit different, obviously, because of social distancing and the whole pandemic, but I believe it's still going to be a super, super hit. So look out for that. And we turned back our clocks this past weekend. For those of you who didn't, check your smoke detectors and change the batteries. Please do so. That's all that I have.
Anything else from the board, Mary?
Chief and Jeff, maybe we can get something in the Sturbridge Villager. I know we probably did last year as well on that Santa run, so we publicize it a little bit more. I know we probably will put it on our Facebook page and the website, but I just think it's a great thing, especially this year. The amount of activities for everybody is so limited, especially children when they don't really understand. So I'd love it if, it had a good attendance when it goes by the various neighborhoods. So.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Hey, Jess, do you mind if we hold your report till after the chief goes through resignations and appointments?
At your pleasure.
Okay. So, Chief, the first one is consideration, possible action on the acceptance of the resignation of Luke Quattroselli as an on-call firefighter from the Sturbridge Fire Department.
Yep. Luke was here for a very short time and realized that his personal commitments far outweighed his ability to offer service to the town. And he submitted an email resignation followed by a letter, which I received today in the mail. So I will get that over to Jeff. So I respectfully request that we accept his resignation with regrets.
Hey, somebody want to make the motion?
Yeah, I will, Ian. Accept the resignation of Luke Quattroselli as an on-call firefighter.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Chase.
Okay. Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next we have a consideration and possible action on the resignation of Autumn Corville as firefighter / EMT from the Sturbridge Fire Department.
Yep. Autumn was with us for a few years. She was a contributing member to the department. She became an EMT while she worked here, and then recently on her own became a paramedic. As a result of that, she took a full-time position working as a paramedic, and she is planning to enter into nursing school and feels that she won't have the time to dedicate to the department that she should. So I would respectfully request that you accept Autumn Corville's resignation with regrets.
Okay, someone want to make that motion?
I will. Accept the resignation of Autumn Corville as firefighter EMT with regret.
Is there a second?
Second, Chase.
Any discussion? Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next we have consideration and possible action on the confirmation of appointment of David Hoyt as a part-time on-call firefighter / EMTB with the Sturbridge Fire Department.
So David is a Spencer resident. He works full-time for the Spencer Fire Department. He was a call member of the Sturbridge Fire Department for a period of about 2 years. He is now become an EMT, and Spencer does not provide EMS services. That's something that he has a passion for and a desire to do. And I think that he will be a great asset to the department and to the community. So I respectfully request that you appoint David Hoyt as a firefighter EMT B.
Okay, someone want to make that motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion for David Hoyt as a part-time firefighter EMT with the Sturbridge Fire Department.
I'll second it, Ian.
Okay, any discussion? Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Mike?
Mike, yes.
Chase?
Chase, yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes. Okay, next we have consideration and possible action on the confirmation of appointment of Jason Edson as a part-time firefighter / EMTB with the Sturbridge Fire Department.
Yes, so Madam Chair, I failed to mention that David Hoyt's starting pay will be $18.76 per hour, which is consistent with the provisions of the collective bargaining agreement currently in place. Jason Edson is a Leicester resident, works full-time for Allegiance Fire and Rescue as a diesel technician. He is also a call firefighter for the town of Leicester. He's a nationally registered EMT and he holds many certifications in dive and dive rescue. He's also certified Fire 1 and Fire 2, and I'm looking forward to having both Jason and David on the department and get them hit the ground running. So as with David, Jason's starting rate of pay will be $18.76 an hour, which is consistent with the collective bargaining.
Okay, any questions? A motion?
This is Mike, and I'll make a motion to confirm the appointment of Jason Edson as part-time on-call firefighter EMTB with the Sturbridge Fire Department, effective November 3rd, 2020, at a rate of $18.76 per hour.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that, Chase.
Any discussion? Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay, Ian?
Yes.
Chase?
Chase, yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, Chief, are you all set with us then?
Yes, thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Okay,
Thank
you too. Jeff, we may as well go to Chief Dessert and
Keep going with the action items.
yeah,
We can. Yep. Keep going with the action items. You're on a roll.
yeah. Okay. The next one is consideration and possible action on the appointment of Megan Cassavant as a full-time dispatcher with the Sturbridge Police Department. Chief, you want to say something?
Yes, thank you. Megan's going to come to us from Bay State Medical in Springfield, where she worked as a security officer. She also worked at the Palmer Hospital prior to that. She comes to us with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and an associate's degree in criminal justice as well. She's got a good amount of customer service skills that she's bringing with her, and we're looking forward to getting her appointed and getting her started.
Okay, any questions from the board? Meg, Jeff?
Yeah, Ms. Cassavant is on the meeting if you just want to say hello.
Yes, I was just going to ask her, Megan, would you like to say anything?
Hello, everybody. I'm looking forward to being a part of this town of Sturbridge.
Does someone want to make a motion then?
I will, Ian, to hire Megan Cassavant as a full-time dispatcher with the Sturbridge Police Department.
Is there a second?
Second, Chase.
Any discussion? Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes. Good luck.
Mike?
Thanks.
Mike, yes.
Case?
Chase, yes.
Ian?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So congratulations and welcome, Megan.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll enjoy work with the department down there.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, we can jump back to your report then.
If you want, just keep going to item F, and you can finish up the action items. I know there's representatives of RLS Logistics on the call, and if that's okay with you.
Okay. Sure. Okay, so the next one is consideration and possible action on the request for sewer service for 90 Charlton Road to serve RLS Logistics. Okay, Jeff?
Yes, RLS Logistics is another cold storage facility. They're looking to occupy the location at 90 Charlton Road. That location is not on the sewer reserve list, and as such, they need to come and ask the Board of Selectmen, sitting as the Water and Sewer Commissioners, for service. Shane Moody and Butch Jackson recommend approval of the service. There is an estimated flow, sewer flow or sewer demand letter in the packet. If you'd like to see that, mostly the sewer will service the office portion of the building, not the cold storage portion of the building. And Brian Hedge is kind of their representative, or is their representative. He's on the call tonight, and I'm looking for, and Logan is also on the call tonight, and he's the gentleman I've been working with on this request. So I don't know if Logan or Brian have anything to add.
Yeah, so this is Logan speaking. As Jeff said, we are requesting service for the facility at 90 Charlton. This facility is a cold storage facility with a office portion as well, which the sewer will service. The actual storage portion of the warehouse will all be freezer temperatures, which will not require any sewer demand from that aspect. So the demand and flow will be domestic from the office portion.
Okay, any questions from the board? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion then?
I will, again, approve the request of sewer service for 90 Charlton Road.
Mike, second.
Okay, Ian, do you just want to add in the
300.
Can I get a page number for that? I'm lost in my packet here.
That's okay. I do that all the time. Just, RLS logistics, so we know who's
Yep.
connecting.
So a request for sewer service for 90 Charlton Road to serve RLS Logistics.
Is there a second?
Second, Mike.
Okay, any discussion? Thought you had your hand up, Chase, but it must be one of the kids.
Yeah, sorry, I'm watching both of them tonight, and it's a madhouse over here.
No problem. Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Chase, how do you vote?
Chase, yes.
Ian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, so good luck with your project.
Good work.
Appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, now back to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. You have kind of a very lengthy, the text is short, but the pages are long. There's a lot of information here regarding the 501 International. That's got its separate report inside my report. You also have, as Chief Grasso said, the last chance grant, and you also have the latest draft of the equestrian park zoning bylaw. This is not a completed draft. There's still some tweaks being undertaken by the town council, and we expect those to be wrapped up here in the next couple weeks. And that way, it will go to the Board of Selectmen, and then it'll go to the Planning Board, and both boards will get a chance to review and make additional adjustments as you deem fit or necessary. I have a couple of other things. If there's nothing on what's written, I can move on to a couple other information points.
Wait a minute. Are we on 508 International?
It's in my
Or are you
report.
talking
Well,
about-
we're on anything on the report.
Well, I have some questions on 508 International. Are we going to have it as a separate agenda item? Should I ask my questions now as part of the handout that we got?
I thought maybe if we could go through it and then maybe have it as an agenda item our next meeting.
Okay, so I'll hold my questions until then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Or you could get them into Jeff earlier.
Well, some of them I would have a couple of motions, so I mean, I need the board for that, so I'll say.
Oh, okay. No problem. Okay, anything else on the report?
I have a couple other.
Gary?
Sorry.
Hey, Mary?
I know we're going to have an opportunity, Jeff, later to comment on the draft bylaw for the racetrack, but is that in fine? Hold on. Is that on page 94 in final form, or are you still going back and forth with that?
Definition?
To see if the town will vote to amend the zoning bylaw, chapter 2 definitions. Yeah, it's the definitions section.
I think, yeah, the bylaw is several pages long, though, from page 89 to 94.
That's the most recent version of the definition.
Pages preceding that are the actual...
I know the bylaw. Well, let me just ask it now because maybe it can get clarified. So under the equine center definition, it says, including horse racetracks with live and simulcast racing with wagering, which he discussed, obviously, and any in-person and online sports betting, which also discussed as having. But then this seems to be a little broader than what was discussed. And any other wagering / betting now or hereafter allowed and regulated under the various laws of the Commonwealth, including without limitation, chapter 28A, which is horse and dog racing, but that's including without limitation. So I guess I'm wondering why part of that definition includes any other wagering, betting now or hereafter allowed and regulated under the laws, because that opens it up to a lot more wagering and betting other than online and in-person sports betting.
Understood, and that's why this is still a draft, and that's why we'll.
Okay.
That's why we'll still, you know, when the board gets to see this and work this, you can ask those questions, and if it doesn't make sense to you, then we can strike it. I think what we're trying to do is what that section does in the event that the law is amended for horse race betting for some reason, the bylaw doesn't have to be amended. Now, if that language is too broad, we need to narrow that up. This definition is specific in that it excludes any table gaming or slots, but if we need to work on narrowing that even more, we certainly will.
That would be my input, because right now, to me, it looks broader than just sports by definition. So anyway, that would be my input, and
okay.
I understand that this is a point.
Very good.
Anyone else?
Can I ask a question? On 508, is there any additional information you would look for from staff for the next meeting if we're going to discuss this?
Okay, well, I may as well.
Mary?
Yeah, so I read, it's very thorough. Thank you for all the information. I didn't see any cease or desist, or I understand that there was another field visit. I was trying to think of the right term. On September 16th, with all the interested parties, conservation, you, town planner, and you saw no recent evidence of motorized use of the trails. Mm-hmm. But as you had pointed out, it's been going on for a while, probably before you were our town administrator. I didn't see in the packet any cease and desist order issued by our zoning enforcement officer, Nelson, for using those trails for motorized vehicles. I understand he sent something in September saying it needs a site assessment, mm-hmm. and that basically walking and what we associate active recreation is allowed, picnicking, trails. But there was from the Charlton zoning enforcement officer back in 2017 a cease and desist. And it seems to me that unless I'm missing something, there doesn't seem to be anything in writing indicating that they violated anything by our zoning enforcement officer. So that would be something that I would like addressed. Was anything issued to them on paper than what was just given in September?
Okay, Jeff?
No, there wasn't. And I don't know what happened years ago, but when we got into this last year, we had a conversation with, when we being Gene, Bouban, and I, had a conversation with the operator and his attorney during last winter, I think sometime before COVID hit. And we all agreed at that meeting that they would no longer use those trails for motorized vehicles, and that you see a letter from Gene to that effect. And they agreed with that. They said, yeah, you're right, we can't do that anymore. So the need for a cease and desist didn't seem necessary because they've already agreed we're not going to do it anymore. And then you saw the follow-up letter from their attorney. COVID kind of got in the way of follow-up on that, but the attorney also recognized that using these trails for motorized uses wasn't permitted, and they just abandoned that use in Sturbridge. So the need for a cease and desist didn't seem necessary because they've already agreed to stop doing that.
Okay, but
Mary?
Thank you for the explanation, but there does seem to be then a little bit, I mean, I know this is in the past, September 16th, it looks good, but it seems that there is a little bit of a disagreement factually between Nelson, the town planner, the attorney saying that they haven't been using it, mm-hmm. and Conservation said in their September 3rd letter that they saw it was a September 3rd letter, and they related to an August 25th, 2020 field visit where they saw tracks consistent with motorized vehicles. So at that point, it wasn't honored because they did a field visit. So I would have expected at that point Nelson to come down a little harder on them in the summer, in August and September, because it didn't stop. So
we walked every trail that was in Sturbridge that day, or we saw every trail in Sturbridge that day, and the chairman of the Conservation Commission and the conservation agent was with us. And it was very clear that those trails had not been used for motorized vehicles anywhere anywhere that season. They were all overgrown. The vegetation was well established. So the earlier site visit was on a different portion of property. And they didn't get, actually at that time, the conservation agent didn't get access to the parcels we walked, which were in Sturbridge. And that's all the information I have.
Okay, let me just explain this. I guess I'm a little confused because attachment 2 on the back, signed by the conservation chair, top it says, at the August 25th, 2020 site visit, the FCC only viewed portions of the property.
Right.
Vehicular use, including tire ruts, were observed. So I mean, we saw tire ruts all over the place, but they were all overgrown with grass and weeds. Now, we would have to get Ed to say exactly what he saw, and if the September 16th site visit answered his questions, or answered his concerns. To the best of my knowledge, he was there. He saw what everybody else saw, that the trails in Sturbridge had not been used for motorized vehicles because the owner had said he couldn't, he agreed he couldn't do it. Okay. So then my other concern would be the land that's actually in Sturbridge. The most recent memo, the conservation agent, what is that? Podunk, here it is. 205A Podunk Pike, which is Sturbridge land. We acquired it in '94 for non-payment of taxes. It says there is a trail shown on this parcel extending from the Jennings parcel. Now, to the best of my knowledge, that trail was not put in there by our Trails Committee.
Right.
So was there any that they were actually using Sturbridge land and making a trail on our land?
That's a really good question, because this is the dilemma we're having, not only with this parcel boundary, but with the actual boundary between the two towns. These are map boundaries. They're assessor databases. They're not surveyed lines. So when you look at that 205A Podunk Pike and you see that trail line, as I said in the memo, the trail line was developed by a GPS locator. The property boundary is simply something off the assessor's map, which is plus or minus a certain degree of accuracy. So that trail that's shown, and you can see it where I've circled it in the memo or in the report, that trail could be 30 feet east and that property line could be 10 feet west. So unless we surveyed all that, both the property line and the trail, you wouldn't know exactly where that is. So we've told them, we being the Conservation Commission and I, have told the Jennings folks, hey, you got to figure this out. You can't use this land that's owned by Sturbridge for your use. So they've either got to move that trail, survey the line, or abandon it one way or the other, but they can't knowingly go on Sturbridge town property. So we don't know if it's that location of the trail is really on the Sturbridge property or not without a survey of the boundary line.
Okay, so I'll wait till next week, but thank you, Jeff, for the explanation. That was going to be one of my motions, that we have that surveyed, because I don't want a business use our land and trails. And he says the Jennings have been advised that having the trail extend on town property is an issue that needs to be resolved. So wait until next week. Everybody can think about it, but we need to get that report that's been going on, and we need to know exactly where our property ends, and then we need to put up no trespassing signs on that property, because I thought that was quite unsettling, that there's even that trail that extends from the Jennings property. Very unsettling.
Well, there's trails all over that piece. It was probably used very similar to, you know, the logging roads or whatever else before we even got ownership. And I don't know what we've done to it since 1994, but, you know, there's a trail smack down the middle of it if you look at an aerial photo.
It borders the Jennings property,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's necessary that we know where the boundaries are, and then we put up no trespassing signs on that land to put anybody on notice
Mm-hmm.
that those lands aren't used for public use for trails right now. Our trails committee is not on them,
Mm-hmm.
and that shouldn't be used at all by anybody. And if we have to start by doing a survey, then we should do that, and then we should get some no trespassing signs on that property. So something else to think about for next week.
Understood.
Okay. Okay, now we're up to discussion items.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I have a couple other items.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Selectman Supernot asked about the dog park at the last meeting. The Rec Commission is still looking for a location. Right now, they're favoring 70 Cedar Street, but they want to make sure that the field plans can accommodate both the field and the dog park. So they're waiting for the outcome of the field study before they make a final determination that that's the site. If there's no questions on that. Numerous towns, and maybe Ludlow's going through the same thing, have been inundated with fraudulent unemployment claims. Towns with hundreds of employees have gotten hundreds of fraudulent claims. We've gotten over 24. So the finance department has been chasing those down. So somewhere down the road there was a data breach, not of the town's databases, but somehow of these people's individual databases, whether it be a retailer or a credit card or something else. And so all these towns are now inundated with these unemployment claims. Maybe you've seen it in the Worcester paper, but we've been chasing that as well as everybody else. So hopefully that resolves itself soon. But we've had about 24 of these in the last few weeks. And then final item, Andrea Menson has finished her service. Last Friday was her last day. So Andrea is now retired from the service of the town.
At the ripe old age.
At the ripe old age. So
Retired.
Although she's got more work to do being a mother.
God bless her. Yep. So I'll be happy to answer any questions on any of those other items.
Okay, any questions? No. Okay, so then we're up to the right of first refusal letter. Hey, Jeff, you want to
Yes, thank you.
tell us how you proceeded?
Yes, we have a right of first refusal letter from the Hillmans for a portion of property at 44 Ellen Road, owned by John Holdcraft. We sent it to it's been distributed to all the boards and commissions per the town policy. The planning board has actually taken action in recommending that the town not acquire the property. It's a 1/4 acre. However, our town attorney did say it was incomplete. The submittal needs to have an owner's address and contact information on the letter, and a letter from the owner saying that the purchase and sale agreement is complete. I don't know if you would consider that fatal for this process, given it's a 1/4 acre that really the town has no benefit in owning, but I would request you hold action until you hear back from the Conservation Commission and the other boards so noticed. And Mr. Hillman is working on getting those 2 additional items.
Okay, comments from the board? So Jeff, we'll probably have that by our next meeting.
I would hope. Conservation won't meet again until November 17th, so you won't get their response till your first meeting in December.
We'll still be within our time limits under the
the process.
policy.
Right.
So I was just thinking about holding up the petitioner, but best to have everything set. So we will hold action on that.
Okay.
Next through 20 corridor project. Notice of eligibility.
Yes.
Yes.
So this was sent to you last meeting, and we put it back on the agenda for discussion for this evening. And I got good news today from Mass DOT. I was reaching out to them to see if there's a sample request for proposal for engineering services, since the letter requires the town within 2 years to have an engineer on board and have done certain things to maintain eligibility. DOT, Arthur Frost through Ann Sullivan, or Ann Sullivan through Arthur Frost, notified me today that DOT will now pick up the project and pay for all the engineering. So there's no money out of pocket for the town. They are very interested in this project. They believe in this project, and they're going to try to move this forward with their own resources at this point. We will be asked
real good news.
That is real good news. They will be asked to engage the public and have the public comment sessions and feedback sessions that are required of a project like this. But as of today, DOT is going to try to move this forward on their own without any cost for the town.
Comments from the board? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say that's great news, and thank you, Jeff, for pushing this, and I hope you keep pushing it, because that's phenomenal news for the town. Thank you.
Good stuff. They did ask, there is a letter or a municipality's acknowledgement of project eligibility. It's on the last page it's on page 291. It's something the town's supposed to sign and send back. So I asked Mr. Frost, you know, what should we do with that? So his response was, Jeff, I am following up, and I got this late today, so you haven't had a chance to see it. I apologize. I'm following up on your question about how the town should respond to the approval letter. And this is what he says. Respond back saying, after a discussion with Mass DOT District 3, they indicated that Mass DOT would hire a design consultant to design the intersection of State Highway Route 20 with Route 131. So that's what we would respond with this signed attachment if the board so chooses.
A board's input?
It sounds like a perfect response. I mean, if the state's going to pick up the design, then our acknowledgement should indicate that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mary?
I agree with Mike. That's it.
Okay.
Did we vote to have the chair sign
No.
the acknowledgement at our last meeting?
No,
we didn't.
No, and it was on for discussion tonight because I didn't know where the board was, but this kind of changes the game for the board at this point.
Yeah.
So feel free. If you want to take action, that's up to you all.
I think we should take action by responding in the using the wording that Arthur Frost suggested, and in our letter, and I think that's all we need to do to respond. So I'll make a motion that we ask. Normally these are signed by the chair of the Board of Selectmen, but it is the chief, executive. So I would think that we should respond asking the chair of the Board of Selectmen to sign a letter using the exact wording that the district project engineer or manager suggested.
Is that a motion, Mike?
That is a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Okay.
Chase, how do you vote?
Yes, Chase.
Mary?
Mary, yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Just, if you have that, when I come in to sign the warrant and payroll Wednesday,
It will be ready.
I could sign it then.
Yep.
Okay.
No worries. No.
I'm very happy because this this was one of my top priorities 5 years ago when I got on the board. And I'm starting to see it come to fruition, and it's making me really happy for the town.
We'll just keep it going. Keep it going.
Okay. Okay, next, anybody else have older business? Mike?
No old business.
Ian?
No.
Mary?
Only some old business after Jeff gives the COVID update, because it relates to COVID, so I'll wait to do it after the update.
Okay. Chase, do you have old business?
I have no old. Thank you, though.
Okay. The only thing I have, Jeff, did you check with Jean on the extension timeline on the outdoor dining?
I did. I sent an email, but she's on vacation, so she's checking periodically. So I hope to get an answer tomorrow.
Okay. Did we want to make a tentative motion just in case it did expire?
I'm sure if it was going to expire, you can make a motion, but I don't think there was an expiration. I think what we looked at this as is as long as their internal occupancy wasn't to a point where it interfered with their parking between the outside occupancy and the inside occupancy, we were going to let it go.
No, I was just wondering because I do know when we discussed it, it was till the end of October, I believe, unless it got extended by the state, which it did. So if we made that motion, then we should be fine. Okay.
If we do
update, Jeff?
Well, if we do need some action item, we can get it prepared for your agenda on the 16th. Okay. Okay. COVID update. We're still a yellow community. We have a kind of a rotating 6 cases at a time. Some cases fall off, some cases fall on, but according to the health agent, it's about 6 cases at a time. But still a yellow and a solid yellow. Not going near red yet. The upstairs of the town hall was used for early voting. The precautions taken were very detailed. Lynn Gerard, our town clerk, and Sheila O'Connell, her assistant, did a phenomenal job with working through that, having the plexiglass in place, having their poll workers clean the machines after every use, all those good things. So it worked out really, really well for everybody. And it was very busy. Quite a significant number of people early voted at the town hall. So hats off to Lynn and her crew for putting that all together. Also in COVID, we had to report and seek reimbursement for the expenditures of funds between what we have spent so far in a very, very broad and conservative estimate through December 30th. It's about $340,000 we're seeking. More than half of that hasn't been spent yet. It's just an estimate to get us through the end of the year because the state wanted us to kind of extrapolate what we could spend. Some of the things we may spend money on are Burgess, cleaning out the duct work at Burgess Elementary School, doing some additional cleaning at the fire station, and of course we have the cleaning people for the library, which is a special circumstance. And we've had to move those cleaning services to Town Hall and the Senior Center because we lost a custodian last week due to medical non-COVID issues. I'll be happy to answer any questions on the report. Most of it you've seen already. It's the trailer, it's the aeroclave, it's the doorkeepers, it's the additional cleaning, it's the PPE, a lot of that stuff, the hotel rooms that we had booked for any first responder that needed to quarantine back in the summer. That ended around the 1st of July. So I'll be happy to answer any questions on any of that. If you have any.
Hey, Mary?
So were we given $800,000 in total?
Yes, $849,000.
Okay. So my question is, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but if we do end up with, okay, my second question is, did the schools get their own care money, or, and do you know how much they got roughly?
I do not.
Oh.
I don't.
Okay. All right. Because my question would be, if we have extra money, I know it's not our call. We'd have to have a joint meeting with, the Board of Health and the school committees. But what if we were to offer testing at the school on even a voluntary basis? Is there any interest in that? I know other schools are doing it, certainly the private schools. Colleges are testing their kids once or twice a week. And I wonder if we had some kind of testing, at least of the teachers, if we had money for that and there's an interest by the school committees, maybe that could help move our kids even out of the hybrid form of education they have now if there was more regular testing. So I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but if you feel it's useful to even have a meeting with the other, with the school committees and the Board of Health on possibly offering testing at the school. And I don't know how much it costs. That's not something but it seems to me that would be a reasonable thing to do. All the medical experts are saying more testing, more testing. We have a very large regional high school and junior high. And even with hybrid learning, the teachers are coming in contact with everybody. Because if they're not with half of the students one week, they're with the other students the other week. So I wanted to put that out there for discussion.
Okay, thoughts from the board? Jeff, what's your opinion?
I think it's a tremendous idea. We would have to find an agency or a testing facility to undertake that and do the tests. And I could work with the health agent to see if there is somebody we can contract with to actually conduct the tests at the school. And that would be our first step. Is it physically possible to have a group do testing at the school? And that would be my first question. Yeah.
Okay, and then you'd have to make contact with the school too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
But it's worth proceeding.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We'll find out.
Okay. Anything else on the COVID from anybody?
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the modification items. Hey, Jeff?
Yes, Madam Chair and board members, you asked for another couple weeks to read through all that items and see if there were any of those you wanted to pay particular attention to. Be happy to answer any questions or take comment. As I said, most of these.
Questions?
most of these are administrative. It's changing syntax. It's revising language due to citation changes. There's really no substantive changes in the text, in the bylaw, or in the charter that are taking place. It's more just an update and a cleanup. So.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board?
I thought it was a good job.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I agreed with everything. The only one that I just wanted input in from the board that kind of caught my eye was the earth removal section. And I just didn't know if we wanted to put something in there a little stricter to prohibit what happened on New Boston Road.
Yeah. And that, you know,
yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I just didn't know if when, you know, like when that situation arose, it seemed like we didn't have any teeth as a board to kind of intervene. And I just didn't know if we wanted something if a future situation arose.
Jeff?
Yeah, it's on my task list to rewrite the earth removal code to narrow what's being done on a site. So I don't know, it would eventually be incorporated in the code, but I don't know if we would have to put that together first, because it's a function of the building code and the town code and the town bylaw. So we have to see where those two mesh. But I agree, that was on my list of things to get done before the end of the year, or this year. So.
Yeah.
I think just make a suggestion of what I've seen in other towns and what might help. Like I've done work in other towns where if you're removing excess of 5,000 cubic yards, which is a lot of material, that gives people a lot of leeway to do a lot of work. Then they need to seek special permitting after that. I don't know. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Anyone else?
Can I just go back?
Mary?
I'm sorry, I just want to go back to the COVID thing, the suggestion for testing. I know Jeff said he's going to talk to the health agent. That is the place to start, and reach out to the schools. Can you also copy the chair of the Board of Health? Because I think it's really, in addition to being a financial logistic thing, it's a policy matter that I don't think it's the call of the health agent. I think the chair and the Board of Health should be involved. So that's it. And I agree with Chase on your suggestion that we need to look into the earth removal language, so our hands aren't tied.
Okay, anyone else? Hey, Jeff, then do you want a motion on the codification?
Yes, and a emphasis on updating the earth removal code to prevent excessive earth removal without an earth removal license.
Does someone want to make that motion?
So moved on that motion. Chase?
Is there a second?
Mary, second.
Hey, Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ian, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chase, how do you vote?
Yes, Chase.
Okay, and I vote yes. Okay. Next we have new business. Chase, do you have any new business?
I have no new. Thank you.
Mary?
No.
Ian?
I have none.
Mike?
No, I have none either.
And I have none. Okay, corresponding. Michael?
Okay. On October 17th, we received a letter from Mass DOT, project number 610826, Shampoo Road, over Long Pond, and it's regarding the right-of-way coordination. I guess it was an email, not a letter, from Michael Sullivan, Senior Project Manager for Bridges at CHA. And that email was sent to the Town Administrator, Jeff Bridges. On October 19th, we received the Sturbridge Trails IQP report, a report from the Sturbridge Trails IQP team to Jeff Bridges. On October 19th as well, we received Mass Drought Alert for October 2020, the email from Sarah Zakalakis about All Hazards Planning Unit supervisor from the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency. And that, again, was an email to Jeff Bridges regarding the drought situation in October, which has obviously turned around significantly in the last week or two. The October 19th, we also received an email, or the town administrator received an email on the excess and deficiency calculation for Tantascwa. The email forms were emailed from Mary Jane Handy, Director of Accounts at the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, to the Town Administrator, Jeff Bridges. October 20th, we received proposed regulations for public comment in an email from John Fisher, Deputy Division Director of Solid Waste, Mass DEP. And again, that email was addressed to the Town Administrator, Jeff Bridges. October 22nd, we received a Section 319 non-point source competitive grant program announcement in an email from Malcolm Harper, Grants Coordinator, Mass DEP, Division of Waste Management, Water Pollution Prevention section, with a letter from Laura Blake, Director of the Watershed Planning Program, and that email was to the Town Administrator, Jeff Bridges. And also on October 22nd, we received open registration for the MMA 2020 annual meeting announcement and an email from the Massachusetts Municipal Association to Jeff Bridges, Town Administrator. And thirdly, on October 22nd, we also on eviction diversion initiative from Lisa McCarthy Licorice, MPH Senior Consultant, Senior Coordinator, Local Health Communications, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, Office of Local and Regional Health, and that email also was to Jeff Bridges, our Town Administrator. And finally, on October 26th, we received September 2020 volunteer hours and traffic analysis report from Bob Barnes to Tom Chamberlain and Jeff Bridges, our Town Administrator. And that's the summary of all the correspondence we've received since our last meeting.
Okay, on those correspondence, if anyone could read the volunteer hours report, you must have very fine eyes.
Yeah, some of that.
Also, I mean, wait a second here.
Larger print.
Yeah. But if you want to really read a good report for history and management, the one from the Trails Committee, the four students from WPI on their interactive qualifying project, a lot of information about the lead mine in Hines area. Okay, Mary?
I also received some correspondence. I think it actually came the evening of our meeting, but it came after our meeting, from a resident about the proposed equine center. And she only shared it with me, but I asked her, did she want me to share it with the board members during correspondence at our next meeting? And she indicated yes. So I'm going to read it, and then I will forward it later to you as well. But she writes, the following is an email I sent to the people proposing this racetrack and gambling facility. I am very strongly against this proposal. Our beautiful, relatively quiet town will be gone forever. And then here is the quote that she sent apparently after she got the packet. As someone who owns property in Sturbridge and have had horses for most of my life, I think this is one of the worst ideas I have heard for Sturbridge. I live very close to this site, which will totally ruin my property value. Sturbridge is already overrun with more traffic than it can handle. This would bring an overwhelming amount of new traffic, plus the unsavory types of people who try to make a living gambling. If you are so convinced that this is a good idea, you would be planning it for your town. And it's signed Lynn Sardi Peterson. I responded to her indicating that, there would be public hearings before zoning, a public hearing before us, and then a town meeting where we'd have to vote on the zoning change. And I urged her, to participate. And she indicates that, she's not going to be able to participate in any public hearings by attending any town meeting. They're at high risk for COVID, her husband. So I told her that I would read this to the board. And if anybody wants me to send the actual email to them, I'm happy to do so. But I just read you the email that was sent to me.
I'd like a copy, Mary.
Okay.
So would I.
All right. I'll just everybody.
Hey, Jeff?
Yes, if you, just as a point of information, on the October 22nd, 2020 non-point source competitive grant program, that was the grant you all sponsored for the
Comquasit.
You bet, right, Lake grant to do to do the treatment of the lake. And I did forward that letter to Carl Nielsen, who was working on that with you all. And next year, hopefully, we can resubmit and get it funded next time. So the alum treatment of the pond, yes.
Next, we have the minutes of October 19th, 2020. Does anyone have any correction, deletion? Is there a motion then to approve as written?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Chase.
Okay, any discussion? Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Chase?
Chase, yes. Thank you.
Mike?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, next we have citizens forum. Oh, wait a minute, Mary?
I'm sorry, Mary. I just looked at my notes. I just have one other thing under old business, if I might, before we go to citizens forum.
No, I didn't.
Okay, thanks. I did watch the interviews of the finalists, and I just had a couple of comments. I just want to thank Jeff and the search committee. I thought they did an excellent job formulating the questions. I thought they were very thorough, broad, and gave ample time for both candidates to answer. I know at the end, one of the residents who's on the committee had a question about what the process was going to be in terms of them making a recommendation. And I guess I want to ask Jeff, are you going to do it by motion? I know every search is different. I know when we did the search for Jeff, we actually had a motion, and it was majority vote in terms of which 3 candidates got before the board. And I didn't know how that's going to work, if you're going to make the ultimate decision, you're going to do it by majority vote. So, and also, when can we expect the search committee to put forward their candidate? So that's the 2 questions.
Right. So we are trying to schedule another meeting at which I will ask the committee members individually which one do they think is the best fit. I will take that information and make an appointment, which then I will ask for you all to concur. After the committee makes their individual recommendations to me and we settle on the candidate, we do a background check and then finalize that with the board approving the appointment.
So it is going to be by what the majority of the 5 of you would like?
Well, I'm going to, according to the charter, it's kind of vague on how this works. So we've done 2 rounds. We did a preliminary assessment based upon the resumes, then we did an assessment based upon the interviews. So at the next meeting, I'll ask each one of the 4 members who they believe is the best fit for the job. And I'll take that information and from that make the appointment.
Yeah, I know. The charter leaves it open, so I was just curious what the, I mean, I don't think this would be the likely event, but let's say 4 of them leaned one way and you leaned the other. Mm-hmm. How would that scenario take place? I mean, I know it's not likely to happen, but.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, wouldn't it? No, I guess I'm not anticipating that at all. So if that does happen, certainly that would be a bridge to cross. But I'm not anticipating anything like that. And of course, if the committee members were to, as a group, as a block, recommend a candidate, I should, clearly take their advice.
Okay, thanks. Again, and again, it was a good job. They were long. I had to go get a snack in between. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Citizens Forum.
Let me check. Good evening. Is there anyone on the public telephone line that would like to speak to the board in public forum? Hello, is there anyone on the public telephone line that would like to speak to the board in the public forum? There's no one on the phone that wishes to speak, and there's no emails, Madam Chair.
Okay. Next on the agenda, then, we have a request for executive session. Mike, do you have the motion?
Okay. I don't think I had it. The last thing I had in my packet was the, unless it's in the...
There probably wasn't.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Oh, you got it.
It's on the agenda.
Okay.
Executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair so declares that an open session detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, the town of Sturbridge.
So declared. And can you add, we will not reconvene in open session?
And the motion is that we will not reconvene in open session.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Hey, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes, Chase.
Mary?
Mary, yes.
Ian?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay. Give me 1 minute to get us ready.
Unplug.
Yeah, pretty much.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
And I'm going to lock out participants. Okay.
So nobody can. Nobody can palm in, huh?
No.
Chase, you're giving up on the Patriots.
Am I giving up on the Patriots? That was tough to watch.
Based on your sweatshirt.
Yeah.
When's the last time we had a losing record? This like, wait, are 2-4 now?
1998.
20 years ago.
Yeah, 1998.
Brutal.